Listen, the majority of people who have a crazy paranormal experience don't go into it thinking, "Oh, I wish I had some crazy paranormal experience." Most people, it's out of the blue. And I can only speak for myself, but I find it intriguing and really crazy, the number of paranormal investigators that will put themselves directly in harm's way, to try to capture some form of phenomenon. And one thing I've learned is that there seems to be an intelligence to these type of phenomenon as a whole that it just seems really strange. It's like, when I've gone into something, looking for it, as in what I'm getting ready to show you tonight, um, cooperation isn't always guaranteed. Sometimes it is, but I mean, sometimes it happens, but it's not always guaranteed. And so it's always surprising when you can get something on film, and 9 out of 10 times, if you're shooting on a cell phone, it doesn't look that great anyway. But nevertheless, you've got something captured. And we can line up 10 people in a room and everybody's going to react just a little bit differently. Some folk will accept it as is and maybe even blow it more out of proportion than what it actually was or what it merits. Then some will choose to block it and just say, "Oh, I didn't see that. Nothing happened. That I didn't see that. That's not what occurred." And they'll rationalize it to the point where they will rewrite history to protect their own psyche and to deal with it that way. But everybody deals with it just a little bit differently. And so that's why I'm always amazed, perplexed, and fascinated by all the YouTube paranormal investigators or on TV or wherever you see them. And, I see a lot of stuff, and for the most part, most of it, I don't care to offer a percentage, but I think it's a high percentage of all the stuff I see. In the back of my mind, I'm going bullshit. And this is coming from a guy who, I give people the benefit of the doubt all the time. It's just that I just find it really hard that in all these moments that I've been into, and granted, so many of them occurred before cell phones were even a thing. But in the moment, the phone is one of the last things I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of mostly, what the hell is going on here? And then my logical brain is trying to figure it out. So the people that we see in these videos that are just happen to be filming at that time, everything they're doing, and happen to catch something crazy, I just don't know. I rarely buy that, and then, a lot of the investigator stuff, especially with some of the voice stuff, the EVP stuff and stuff like that. I mean, some of it seems like a stretch to me. I don't hear the same thing that they hear, which is not a big deal. I mean, that's they're doing it and doing it well, and if that's what they're hearing, then that's what they're hearing. It's not for me to really judge the factual nature of what they're hearing. So, and it could just be me. So, but for me personally, I never want to seek out anything. It's not part of my core fiber. I'm somebody who's had a ton of shit happen to him, but I'm never once going, "Oh, you know what? Let's break out the Ouija board," or this place is supposedly haunted. Let's go in there and stay the night. Nope, that's not how I do anything. So whenever something happens to me, I'm always taken aback by it. And and then I will scramble to try to come up with some logical explanation.
So I've got a little small story to tell you in tonight's episode. I'm gonna bring Will in here in just a little while after we go through the video a little bit, but I live here in Kansas. I'm just directly outside of the KC metro area, just south of Kansas City. The next biggest piece of Kansas City, and not Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas, but just thinking about the metro as a whole, is Overland Park, Kansas, and Lenexa is adjacent to Overland Park. And where I live, there's a couple of places where I walk the dogs regularly, and for quite some time now, I've been walking them after dark. There's enough people with dogs in our area that I don't like to walk them necessarily when there's a lot of other dogs out walking around, because they go apeshit. And a Chihuahua and some form of possibly a Chihuahua mix are dogs. So I typically will try to find a time when I can take them, or I'll take them to a place like go to Shawnee Mission Park with them a lot. And there's places there at Shawnee Mission Park where I can take them where I may or may not see another human being, let alone another dog too. So I chose a little path that I've been taking them for quite a while. We got it broken down into basically 3 loops, a little small loop, a kind of intermediate loop, and then a longer loop. And this began about a month ago. And so I'm out walking the dogs doing the normal piece here. And I'm going to show you here the area I'm talking about. So this sidewalk right here is basically where I'm coming from. Usually we're going in this direction. And we get up past this little shack right here. And then this begins a long sidewalk that runs directly adjacent. Even though this says it's West 95th Street, it's not really 95th Street per se, because 95th Street is just out of frame down below to the southern portion of this photograph. So it would be just past here. So that sidewalk runs from where this is at, which is basically Santa Fe Road here in Lenexa, and runs along 95th Street all the way from basically Santa Fe to the highway. And often I'm walking the dogs right down this larger sidewalk. Now, if we do the smaller loop, what I'll do is right here, I'll turn with the dogs and head down this sidewalk here. And these trees right here are the ones in question. So I'm going to show you a couple other shots here. There's this shot, which is looking at directly across from where the sidewalk begins. So I'm quite literally right across the corner, which would be the equivalent right across the corner, looking back at all of the things that are across 95th Street. So what you're really looking at is 95th Street there, and the buildings that are directly across from it. I want you to note the height of the street lights. And obviously this is a daytime shot, or I'm going to try to suppose here. Let's take a look at this one. Here's a nighttime shot, so you can see kind of the spread of how much city shine and basically how much shine is coming off of these street lamps. And it's not that much. So I want to turn the camera here, and this is another one that from Google Earth, where it's showing, if you look off here in the distance, there is a street light right there. And here's a street light right here as well. But I want you to look at the relationship between these trees right here and the street light right here, because this is going to become very important when I start talking to you about angle of light, because this whole thing is just a really bizarre situation. So I'm going to show you one more photo before we get into this a little bit more. So again, the trees I'm referring to is this one right here, and the one that's just past this right here. Okay, so here we are. Dogs and I are walking, and Charlie, I can usually spot rabbits before Charlie does. And I think only twice now when we've been walking, when he has seen something that I haven't seen. We've seen, large nocturnal birds, owls. We've seen a coyote, and which is strange for our area to see a coyote. I've seen them multiple times. One with a small pack, about 4, and then this time was with just a solo coyote. And his reaction is more of a like, I'm a protector, and he behaves that way with dogs too. So this is the first time I ever seen him spooked. And when we came around this corner, I'm going to go back to this photo here. I'll just show you the corner. We came back around this corner right there, and we start heading towards the sidewalk here. As soon as I get across here and start walking down this way, about this location right about here, Charlie turns back towards the way we came, and he's growling, his hair standing up on the back of his neck. And I don't know what he's freaking out on. So I'm looking around, I don't see anything. I'm start to head back a little bit, and he's kind of standing between my legs, so he's skittish right now, and he's like a little apprehensive, but he was kind of hiding with me, so he was looking for me to protect him. And I never seen him behave like that before. So I was like, and he kept this whole walk all the way down the sidewalk. He continually would be looking behind us to see, to be looking that direction and growl, every once in a blue moon. And it wasn't until we got to right about here that I look up and I notice that there is this light shining on the trees, these trees right here. And I'm fascinated because I'm like, that's really odd. What is that light source? What is creating that light? And this is where I'm going to take a pause and say that as an artist, somebody who's done a lot of 3D work and just artwork in general, a lot of Photoshop work, you become very acutely aware of shadow and light, where light sources are coming from, where they're casting shadows, and you kind of becomes very obvious. It's just a geometry thing that you're going, okay, where's that coming from? Oh, well, that looks like it's hitting it from this angle, so that doesn't make any sense. So I'm trying to figure out where the hell this light source is coming from, because I can't figure it out. And I'm like, oh, dude, you're smarter than this. Where's that light coming from? And I could not. The first time it happened, it seemed like it was doing it in 3-second intervals. So it might not. It wouldn't last for 3 seconds when it was on, but it seemed like there was 3 seconds in between when it would flash and then when it would flash again. The duration of the flash would vary, but the duration in between the flashes, this first time I observed it, was not. So I was like, okay, this is easy. I'm going to figure this out in a jiffy. So I turn around and I'm looking back this direction. I'm looking back towards 95th Street, and I'm trying to figure out what is a light source kind of breaking through this tree right here? And is that what's causing this light over here? And in the directionally, it didn't make sense, because when you look at the video, you're going to see that the light seems like it's coming more from this angle here than it would be from this angle from way over this direction, and trying to cut through these trees this way to get to this. That didn't make any sense to me, because there's nothing over there that could possibly create that, let alone from the correct angle, right? So I'm perplexed, and I said, okay, no big deal. I don't know why the dog is freaked out, but he's freaked out. And of course, I tried to go back down this way a little bit with the dogs, and Charlie wasn't having any of it. So we continued to head back towards towards home. And again, so he's acting all the way. Halfway home, he's still looking behind us, and eventually he stopped doing that. But it took him a while, several blocks, before he would stop doing that. So let's fast forward. The very next night, I go back, same pathway, same time of night, and I'm just telling myself I'm going to solve this weird ass light thing, and I'm gonna figure it out what's doing this tonight. So I'm walking the dogs. Dogs are whatever spooked Charlie the night before. There was nothing like that. He didn't behave any way, shape, or form. He was just normally sniffing and peeing. But the light thing is still going on. But this time it's different. It's the same effect, but the interval's all crazy. But the duration seems like it's consistent. So I'm like, I don't understand what the hell's going on. But it looks like it's coming from the exact same angle, the same vector was at play that was the night before. So I'm like, okay, you've got to be in this direction. So I'm walking the dogs around in the street on the sidewalk, and we're trying to figure out where this is coming from. And for the life of me, I could not figure out what was creating that. And so over the course of the last month, I've been in almost every weather condition, but always kind of the same, I would say 30 to 40 minutes of time, somewhere between 9:15 to 9:45, I guess what the time frame PM that I would find this going on. And so I go back again, like I said, I'll go back the very next night, see it again. And of course, like a dumbass, I don't break out my phone to try to record. I never think of these things when I'm actually in the moment. I'm more like engaged, at the moment, and trying to figure out, what's this? That's why I'm reluctant to believe a lot of, and I'm very skeptical about a lot of the videos I see, because it's like, why are you just randomly walking around with your phone out and recording every step you take, just like you're anticipating something to happen? I don't buy that, really. So it's generally the rule that you don't have the phone, or you don't remember to put it to break it out and start filming something or taking photos of something, than it is that you do, especially in these kind of shocking situations. Not that this was shocking, but you get what I mean. Okay, so 3 or 4 days pass by, the weekend comes and goes, and there's nothing. So I'm even more agitated by this now, because it's like, okay, what the hell? Why won't it repeat this? There's no change in the environment. There's nothing in the buildings across the street. There's nothing in the air. There's no moonshine, can't create it. I tried to thought maybe there was a possibility in that the moon angle was wrong, and it wasn't bright enough. Anyway, what you would normally see for moonshine would be what you see in the video when it's not flashing on. That's kind of regular sky shine, moonshine type of effect. So nothing. There's nothing until I want to say it was about 5 to 6 days after the second time I experienced it. And so now I'm like, okay, well, whatever it was, it's gone, and so no big deal. Not more than did I say that, then the very next night when I went out, it was going on again. And this time it was even different than the first 2 times. Now, not only was the duration whatever, but it seemed like the interval was whatever. And I'm not trying to look at it and see, is there some mathematical, I haven't gone through and, obviously I can't do the first 2 because I don't have any video of it. But even from what we're getting ready to watch, I haven't tried to analyze it any further than, okay, this is just really odd, and I was just glad I thought that to film it, since it was back. And here's the thing. So several weeks have gone by, and it's not repeated. Not one time after that has it repeated. So let's take a look at this. I want to get what your thoughts on what this is.
So this is the backside location, and I'm looking directly at one of the trees that would light up that I was talking about. So here's the pathway. And I want to point out the light sources that are here. All right? And this is where you could cross to get across here, but we like to go over here. And this is where we usually cross. So those trees right there are the ones I'm talking about. And as you can see, there's no light source over here. The light source right there is not high enough to cast light on the top of those trees. So the ones in question here would be right there, this taller guy right there in the middle. That is the guy. So you can see, just in comparison, so the other video, you can see how there is the normal, city shine, then plus the lighting that's basically over here. But this is all the light that's being around here. That light over there is not high enough to cause that effect. That one is not. None of those are. None of those are high enough. There's the moon, but however, the moon still looks like that, not lit up.
So here's the video. So here in a second, we're going to see the trees start to light up. Here we go. So, and I apologize for the quality of the video because it's shot on my iPhone, but you get the general gist. There's the regular shine, and then there's this extra bright thing, and you can kind of tell the angle that this is coming from, and it's not at ground level, and it's not at a 90-degree angle either. It's coming a little bit from above and off to this direction. So yeah, I'm left with no clue what the hell this is. It's not cars. It's not street lights. They're not at the right angle. They can't possibly be. This is up in the air. There would have to be in the air for it to illuminate like that. I don't know. Let's just watch it one more time so you guys can see this one more time. I want to go through it one more time with you. So here we're lighting up. Continues. And lastly, you see that, I pulled the camera back away towards those other trees and stuff like that to show that, it's not a ground level thing. It's nothing that's behind me. And yeah, I'm perplexed by what in the world this is. If anybody has any ideas, I am all ears for what in the heck this could be. Let's get Will in here and dissect it a little further. I remember when this happened, and me telling you about it that weekend. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you telling me, it was like, thinking that was it. You were actually thinking there was more to it than I was. I was going like, well, there's got to be an explanation for this. And you were saying, that it sounded really kind of wild, but unfortunately, Will and I never got a chance to get together to do some filming of it, but I think everybody got the gist of kind of what this was. And I know you had some thoughts on it, and I wanted to give you opportunity to drop those as well.
Well, my first thought was obviously something of the paranormal, just because I tend to go there because my mind is just what's the word, creative.
Genetically related to mine.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe ghost illumination.
Weird.
It's ghost illumination is, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it, but it reminds me of a story that you told me with the willow trees.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I've seen videos. I don't know if this phenomenon is real or fake. It's not a popular phenomenon, but it's said that ghosts can cast. Here, let me bring this up so I'm not leaning down. It's said that ghosts can cast light.
Really?
Because they're not in this dimension. A lot of people think that ghosts are actually going through purgatory, or just on the plane above us, but still on this plane at the same time. So they're casting light. I think another theory could be that this is just a Matrix phenomenon. Like, it could just be a glitch.
A glitch. That's a good one. Yeah.
Because I don't really have many explanations for it.
Well, I'm sure you picked up on the fact that the first time it happened, what I was trying to do was establish what's the pattern here. Because if it was on and then it was suddenly off for 3 seconds, and then it was on and then it was off for 3 seconds, I was turned around and I was trying to look in the opposite direction to see, okay, what else is over here that's possibly doing that. And I was able to rule out a couple of things, like, you think even though the moon wasn't in the right position, you're not going to have the trees magically block the light for exactly 3 seconds, and then suddenly the wind blows it and then you can see it again. And then the reason why I said in the video where I think there's an intelligence to this is because the next night when it was occurring again, I was thinking to myself, okay, let's see you do the 3 second thing again. And I felt like it was almost fucking with me, that it refused to do the 3 second interval. Instead, it said, well, I'm going to now do the duration as a constant, and I'm going to vary how long it's off. And then, of course, in the video that I had shot, you can see that it's just doing. There's no pattern to it. If there is a pattern to it, I don't know what it is. I had one person suggest, "Have you checked to see if it's Morse code?" And I was like, "Wow, that's really a crazy thing to throw out there." And I have not. I would have to brush up on what the letters are for. I think the only one I know anymore is just SOS ... dash dash ...
That actually gave me an idea, just stringing everything together. Dogs have a certain reaction. It's not always, but dogs have a certain reaction to the paranormal.
It's true. They do.
Specifically, ghosts and spirits and things of that nature.
Demons.
And demons. But you saying Morse code could give me the idea that maybe this is a ghost trying to speak to,
trying to communicate.
Yeah.
I definitely felt like something was trying to get my attention.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
And this could be, maybe a relative, or it could be some random ghost trying to holler at you like, "Hey, what's up?" We can't know,
That's hilarious. You know what? I got to thinking of it. I don't know if I will be able to get a clip of it or not in time to before I post this, but Skinwalker Ranch, the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch program on History Channel is pretty fascinating. And if you watch it, or if you've ever checked it out, it's not necessarily about skinwalkers and the whole lore around that. So that's not what it's about. They actually have a team of a couple scientists, respected scientists that are on the ranch, and they're doing the study. And the breaking of the laws of physics that occur on that piece of property are crazy. And one of the ones I just saw, I don't know if it was last week or maybe the week before, they had these really high-powered lasers that they were shooting from the ground up through this area where there's a known anomaly, and the laser breaks. So in other words, like, let's say like you got this straight beam of light going up, there's a section that's missing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't figure out it because that's not possible. How does that even happen? And so the reason I bring this up is because it made me wonder, is there a possibility that there is a light source there? There was a light source there, but for whatever reason, maybe it was cloaked, or it was in a basically a different dimension, or that is somehow the laws of physics of seeing the source with the effect was somehow being disrupted. I don't know. I mean, it's again, to me, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever had happen. I mean, it's not to me, it doesn't stand out as like this crazy, like a ghost story or a UFO, seeing a UFO or anything like this. It's not like that, but it's very unexplained.
Yeah. And but that actually, you bringing up Skinwalker Ranch reminded me of something, because they had unexplained lights on the mesa.
Yeah.
Often, like, this was a often occurrence.
That's true.
And I think if you were to go out there every night, I think it's going to happen again at some point.
Yeah.
The lights on the tree will happen again at some point.
I've been ready for it now.
I also think it's so... Sorry, I got a little closer. I also think it's so random.
It is. It's so weird.
For 2 trees? It was 2 trees, right?
Well, it was an area, and it wasn't directly... The craziest thing about this was that if you look, you don't see it in the street. So it was... Not only is it just the pattern as far as the light, it's not really cone shaped. It's not like it's not like a spotlight that is perfectly round, and so the circle would distort depending on the terrain and what it's hitting, right? This instead it's only hitting the trees, but it never touches the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see any light hitting the ground. That's where the ground is lighting up as well. So it's very, very peculiar, very, very strange. And I've been walking around with the GoPro in my pocket.
And I also think, like, when I was analyzing the video, what I noticed was the middle of the tree, like towards the trunk, and maybe that's different in person, but it wasn't really as light. Like,
exactly.
And it wasn't. And it wasn't, when I mean as light, I mean there was a day and night difference between the edges of the tree and the middle of the tree, and that's not normal. It's not normal.
No, it's not normal. There's not a damn normal thing about any of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. Well, that's we'll have to see. I mean, I don't think the book is closed on it, but I'll be really, really curious to see what you all think out there. And I apologize for the quality of the video, but to see it in person is just so perplexing, because it's just something you'll go, okay, this doesn't make a lick of sense. And I can't even tell you how long I was out there the second time, that second night, trying to figure it out. And I'm out there and I'm doing I'm down there close to the trees. I'm, pointing up, and I got my finger, and I'm trying to isolate the exact angle it's coming from, and stuff like that. I'm trying to get close to the leaves so I can see exactly how the shadows are hitting from one leaf to the next and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just, I spent some Sherlock fucking Holmes time on this the second time it happened.
Yeah, I would too. And hopefully we get some answers from the people in the comments, from the people watching this. That's, I think, what I'm hoping for is just a normal explanation,
Yeah, something we haven't thought of.
Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to have to walk into a paranormal experience or have paranormal experiences around me, because a lot of them don't turn out well,
Yeah. Very
especially
rare.
if it's aliens.
Yeah. No, thank you. We need zero fourth kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you. Yeah. You guys haven't watched Fourth Kind. We've mentioned it more than once now, so you have to watch it.
Crazy movie. All right, folks. Well, we appreciate you dialing in and supporting the channel. Please like and subscribe if you would. It'll help us go a long ways, and it's a really strange world out there, so keep it weird.
Keep it weird.